I think this virus is probably with us beyond this season or beyond this year, and I think eventually the virus will find a foothold and we will get community-based transmission, and you can start to think of it in a sense like seasonal flu. The only difference is we don't understand this virus.
Well, we understand this virus just fine, ladies and gentlemen. This was a weaponized virus released by the Wuhan Institute of Virology, and we've covered that in previous broadcasts. We also are learning more about the nature of the infection, and it travels through the cardiovascular system, from the lungs to the heart, through the blood. It infects all tissues that have an abundance of what's referred to as ACE2 receptors, which includes the lung, the hearts, the veins, the capillaries, you name it, as well as the kidneys. That means this stuff will spread not only through, feces, but through urine as well. This is why they're spraying everything down like crazy, because people are pissing on the street. And so you can bet, this is the perfect weapon for, your average big city where people are just pissing everywhere and the like. It's traveling through the sewers. And there's just so much more. We're learning that, this is like not only airborne AIDS, quite literally, but it's also like an internal Ebola that incites a cytokine storm, which is what's giving people the heart attack and they're dropping dead and the like. So this is a very nasty virus. And they're saying that it's now going to spread around like the flu. We're never going to get rid of it. It's like a new form of herpes, if you will. And that's just the beginning of the nightmare. They're saying that we should fully expect, this to emerge regularly. Obviously, the video guy is on vacation. We're constantly being hacked when we try to put out broadcasts of this nature. You think there would be free speech. You think they would want you to know how bad it's going to be. But they've done everything they could to ensure its entry and its spread. And it's just a matter of time before they start declaring cases. And we're starting to see, let's see, where's the video guy? Okay. We're starting to see, videos of this nature in America already. There's no telling how many people they've whisked away into isolation, and they're just keeping the numbers to themselves until they can't, hide it anymore. And then all of a sudden it's going to be like, oh, it's an outbreak, it's here forever. Now you got to follow our demands. And so there's a lot of things that we can be talking about here as far as what's coming and what to expect. We've talked about it in quite a bit of detail in our previous broadcast. Be sure to check out our video archives on that one. But yesterday we kind of went through the plans that are on the books, and we're going to be seeing full lockdowns. We're going to be seeing martial law and the like. And little by little, this is creeping into our world. So at first it was just like people in China with these white suits. And now this is America. This is America right here, right now. And there's no telling how many people have been whisked away. Everybody should be on the lookout for, this kind of situation in their neighborhoods. It won't be long before you start seeing reports like this. And when the CDC comes on and says, we should expect major outbreaks and have it spread and come back like the flu every year, you better pay attention. And the fact that they're just kind of, saying that nonchalantly, like it's no big deal, is really, kind of painting the picture of what's to come. They're still not wanting to, spark any kind of panic.
I think this virus is probably with us beyond this season or beyond this year, and I think eventually the virus will find a foothold and we will get community-based transmission, and you can start to think of it in a sense like seasonal flu. The only difference is we don't understand this virus.
Again, we understand this virus, and if you haven't been watching our broadcast, you wouldn't have any clue about what's about to hit. They're describing it like the flu, but obviously it's not at all like the flu. This thing is a weapon, a bioweapon that spreads like pollen, basically, in the air. It can last for up to 28 days in winter conditions. So, somebody down the street could sneeze and you could catch it in theory. And, you know, I mean, this thing is like airborne AIDS. They, in the lab, and we talked about the research papers at the Wuhan Institute of Virology, in the labs, they basically gave this SARS coronavirus HIV legs so that it can just spread everywhere. And it attacks the, you know, the circulatory system. Everything with ACE2 receptors, or with a high percentage of ACE2 receptors versus other types of cell receptors. We're not going to go there right now, but you know, this thing is a weaponized killer, and it causes hardcore internal organ damage. They're seeing lots of traces of that. Most of the people that are dying of the pneumonia are dying based on a mold form of pneumonia. And this is because the virus ravages the lungs, and basically it's kind of like decaying. And here comes the mold, you know, the mushrooms, to basically clean up the job. And this is exactly the same kind of pneumonia, mold-based pneumonia, that kills AIDS patients when their immune systems, you know, begin to shut down. So we're seeing, you know, that being a definite part of this disease, this airborne AIDS that's floating around, that's eating people up inside, on the inside, like Ebola. And you just don't have, you know, the outward symptoms. This is the art of war. And this is why, you know, it was engineered like this, and it's got, like, you know, people basically spreading it without symptoms. They you know, the designers of this virus don't want people to know that they're infected, but on the inside they're being eaten up, and they're getting AIDS, and it's going to come back like the flu. Imagine airborne AIDS coming back like the flu every fucking year now, thanks to this bioweapon that was released into the air. And you know, people are dropping dead because of it, and it's causing, you know, cytokine storms, as they refer to it. It's like an overreaction of the immune system, and this is what's causing people basically just to drop dead just like that. A very nasty virus. The CDC now says to expect a major outbreak, and it's gonna hit everybody like the flu every year. So isn't that nice? Isn't that a nice little present from the New World Order? You thought the death towers were bad. You thought the fluoride was bad. You thought the vaccines, the GMOs, the pesticides were bad. Well, now they've got the Wuhan super virus coming after you. And, you know, something else will be next. We've got all sorts of other videos, new videos from behind the curtain, the Iron Curtain over there, that we're going to compile and put together for another live broadcast in about an hour and a half. This is really kind of like a quick update, but this confirms, you know, what we've been seeing since the get-go, as far as, you know, how this disease attacks. And again, it attacks cells that use the ACE2 receptor, which is mostly the lungs, the heart, the kidneys, and the like. And it basically eats away on the inside. It crashes the immune system, and you know, many people are dying from basically an AIDS-like pneumonia, and that's how this thing is operating. So there's a lot to discuss. Given that it attacks the kidneys, we fully expect that for this to travel in urine. And this is why the sewers are basically becoming a source of infections as well. Not only that, but, you know, since it can survive 28 days, up to 28 days, 9 days average on surfaces, it's going to be on the money. It's going to be in the mail. People are going to get it and they don't even know how. You know, people are going to be like, you know, basically self-quarantined at home trying to avoid it, and then they go to the mailbox. Boom, bitches, you just got it, right? So you're going to have to start sterilizing the mail before you actually bring it into the house. There's another thing. And we got people at the USPS that are telling us that there's a big hush-hush on everything that's going on over there, because they're still getting packages from Wuhan right now, if you can believe that. And of course, this is going to cross-contaminate all sorts of packages. I mean, your Amazon might be delivering Wuhan on top of everything else. So you might think, oh, well, you know, I'll just stay at home and Uber everything and the like, you know. Chances are, you know, you'll get some of this cross-contamination, some of this, you know, airborne AIDS, airborne Ebola that's causing, massive heart attacks and the like. And we've got some real crazy pictures too from China right now. People are saying that, apartment buildings, huge high rises where there's like at least, 50, 100 apartments, like where at the beginning of the lockdown, all the lights were on. You've probably seen the videos of these high rises, they're singing and the like, all the lights are on. And now, in some of these buildings, most of the lights are dark at night. People are dying or they're being, taken away, they're being liquidated. It's worse than you can possibly imagine. I mean, nobody should be surprised if they decide to start nuking cities. And I think that, we should start demanding that, the cities in America be basically quarantined right now. There's no need for this thing to start spreading into the small towns if this is some kind of, airborne Ebola, airborne AIDS that's going to come back like the flu. This is already in the big cities for sure. And they're going to wait, as long as they can before they start announcing the inevitable. And when they do, given that this disease can, basically spread for like 20, 21 days, maybe more before people start keeling over from the time of infection to when they go critical. I mean, that means that this thing will have spread for like 3 weeks everywhere before they even get like the first, whiff of it on, at the hospitals. So, if they were serious about stopping this virus, they would lock down the big cities right now, because this is going to devastate, tens of millions of people in America. We're going to see people dropping dead in every major city in America, and this is coming. The CDC says guaranteed, and it's going to come back like the flu. And we're getting reports that, people can get reinfected by this, even if they've been infected once. It's like AIDS, and so there is no cure. It's a little different than AIDS, so it doesn't seem like it's necessarily systemic, permanent immune suppression at this stage, but that's yet to be clarified, since most of the patients are just, now, kind of, surviving, if you will. But there's been talk of relapses. This thing, may go dormant like herpes, come back. There's no telling exactly, all the little back doors and tricks that they engineered into this virus, but you can bet that it's nastier than you can imagine. And of course, this virus was engineered to attack America, so it's made to counter just about every containment practice known to man, from the mask probably to the gloves and everything else. There's just going to be hardly any escaping it. And so we're going to compile, we've got some new video of the liquidation that we haven't shown you yet. And it's just, it's devastating. And if this is what we should expect in about 3 to 4 weeks in America, they should lock down these cities right now, instead of just like, deploying some kind of containment after it's infected every town and every, village, if you will. So it's important that people get that information out there. We've actually supplied links to this recent research on our website, as well as our Twitter feed, Stranger Than Fiction News, or at stfnreport.com. And so you're going to want to check this out, because this thing, is attacking the heart, the lungs, the circulatory system, the kidneys, and the like. And, it infects and eats away at everything in between. And so this is a very nasty virus, to say the least. And again, the CDC is now saying to fully expect a major outbreak. We're going to play that clip again here for you, if we can get there with the video guy. And we'll be back with new videos of what's happening behind the scenes. But let's get that video going here from the CDC.
I think this virus is probably with us beyond this season, or beyond this year, and I think eventually the virus will find a foothold and we will get community-based transmission. And you can start to think of it in a sense like seasonal flu. The only difference is we don't understand this virus.
Well, see, we've been saying that for, probably weeks now, and we understand this virus. I mean, day one, I think we were pretty on the ball, and it was kind of scary.
I think this virus is...
to be honest with you. There's another thing, too, is now we're getting videos, kind of like in London, people, like this, visiting houses. There's no telling how many cases that they've quarantine. There's all sorts of suspected cases that have never been cleared. They're just keeping them in the suspected column. That way they don't have to announce it in the confirmed column. But they know that it's inevitable. It's like, it's like the entire country stepped on a rusty nail, a rusty Chinese nail, if you will, and we're all going to get it. And so people should start preparing as far as what you can do to kind of like survive this virus. I mean, be a germaphobe. Start being a germaphobe right now. Social distancing. Start learning about HIV infections and how they try to manage viral load. Viral load is key, and everything you can do to kind of like help your immune system out. That means turning off your cell phone, turning off the Wi-Fi, or the Wi-Fi, we should say, because it fries the white blood cells. Getting plenty of sleep, avoiding acidic drinks, soda and the like, and start, getting the lemon juice, lemonade, make yourself homemade lemonade, and the like, to raise your pH. We're not, we're still looking at baking soda. I know a lot of people are thinking baking soda when it comes to pH, but the more natural, the better. So we would recommend we would recommend lemons probably, or milk. I think milk is probably going to be, a nice thing to add to your routine. And for the time being, people are going to have to avoid public spaces. Masks are not 100% efficient at all with this virus. It is a weaponized virus, and that means the spores, if you will, are smaller than the filters. Even N95, N99 isn't going to stop this virus, and that's why so many healthcare workers are going to get or have been struck down by this. You notice they're wearing the face shields. This just kind of improves their odds. It'll deflect some of the particles, and then there'll be less going through the mask. And it's all about reducing viral load. That's the hand sanitizer, everything that you can do to reduce viral load. Is your first line of defense. Your second line of defense is hydrogen peroxide. If you go out, maybe swab your nostrils with some Q-tips and gargle. You don't want to do that more than once a day, otherwise that will cause lesions and the like. And you want to get the standard hydrogen peroxide, not like the ultra heavy duty. The stuff that's basically been reduced to 10%, basically. So you can usually mouthwash with that. It's usually used for mouthwash, but you can gargle with that, and perhaps it'll prevent the virus from nesting. That's kind of like your second line of defense. Third line of defense would be, keeping your immune system as strong as it can, as you can, forever now. And that means basically dropping the smartphones. Go get a dumb phone, take the battery out of it, make sure it's not zapping you in your pocket. Turn off the Wi-Fi, go get an Ethernet cable, right? Demand they take down the 5G, and if they won't take down these death towers, maybe you need to, find people in your community and, do a little civil disobedience. That's probably something that people are looking at, according to experts. But that's basically all you can do for the most part. Reducing your exposure time is essential. You don't want to be sitting in a room with people coughing. And now, given that this is going to be mixed in with the regular flu, it's going to be impossible to tell, who's got what. And, chances are people will be carrying the flu and the coronavirus in a full winter cycle. So, you think, this winter is going to be bad? Just wait until next winter when the flu comes back and people are going to be dealing with multiple infections at the same time. It's going to be horrendous, to say the least. And, I wish there was like some better news as far as, what can be done at this stage. If we let the system continue on, this beast system, this federal system, that's going to want to, drag us into the same fate as these big cities, then we're all going to get it. But I think that people should start thinking about basically cutting off these big cities right now. Highways, county roads, state roads, highways, you name it. Cut them off, man. And it might take a while for people to get on that same page, but it didn't take the Chinese very long to understand just, how messed up this virus was. And you had the villagers just cutting everything off, like basically day 2 of the lockdown. They're like, oh, so they're locking down the city, huh? New killer virus, eh? Oh yeah, let's fucking cut the roads off right now. They are not leaving. And but you will get fugitives. You will get refugees, fleeing the cities, trying to basically nest in your town and spread their disease. And so you're really going to have to be against these big city folk for your own protection. Now more than ever. It was bad before with the Sodom and Gomorrah. Now they're going to get theirs. They're going to get their just desserts, if you will. Don't let them take you with them like a Jonestown cult, because that's exactly what they're going to do, ladies and gentlemen. And so you really need to protect yourselves. This is no joke. You might think, oh, Johnson, once again, look, you don't want to believe me? Believe the CDC then. If that's what it takes, 2 weeks later, it's starting to sound a little similar here. Let's play this again for you if you're just joining us late.
This virus is probably with us beyond this season or beyond this year, and I think eventually the virus will find a foothold and we will get community-based transmission. And you can start to think of it in a sense like seasonal flu. The only difference is we don't understand this virus.
So it's not like they don't know, it's just that they can't tell you. That's kind of the difference. But in any case, know that this federal government will be working against you every step of the way. They've done everything they can to let this virus come in, and they'll do everything they can to make sure you get infected and to keep you as sick as possible. So just remember that, ladies and gentlemen. We'll leave it there for this broadcast. We'll be back in about an hour or so for a follow-up, maybe 2 hours, and then we'll go from there, ladies and gentlemen. Until the next time, if you're listening to this, you are the Resistance.